Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. My phone number is BR549. Not really, but it could have been. Anyway, today we're going to work on building a water bath for the plasma cutter table. I've noticed all the big boys have got a water bath, and more than that, I've been watching as their torch passes over the metal. They don't have any glowing orange metal. It's cooled down really quick because of that water splashing on it. And I've been having trouble making letters close together, right close together cuts, because the metal just blasts out. It melts right out of there because mine's glowing orange, So I figure the water bath will fix me up really good, At least I'll be clean. And we're still in this nice isolation thing, but I did talk the boss lady into letting me get out, drive 5 miles across the territory here, and go down to Steel Supply and get a couple of sheets of sheet metal. And it was all totally sanitary. I did the financial stuff over the phone, and I just drove up there and went to the warehouse door, and they loaded it in the back of the truck, and I took off. So, we didn't get the virus or anything. Didn't even really hardly get to say hello to anybody. So, there you are. Anyway, so there will probably be a little disaster involved in here, but I'm not going to tell you when. You got to watch the whole thing to see it happen. And there's an awful lot of work bending sheet metal. If we weren't in this stay-at-home thing, don't go places, I'd have hauled that piece of metal down to a sheet metal shop and had them bend it for me. They'd have been done in less than 15 minutes, But, oh well, I did it with a hammer and a redneck metal bender. And just look at this. You can see I've been trying to burn the letters HSW in there. I tried to burn outside screw ball, and no luck with this thin stuff. This is 18 gauge, and so testing the feed and the voltage, and I want to air all the settings. I cut these little lines here. This guy right here that penetrated real well was at, I think, 15 amps and 30 pounds of air pressure. I've been listening to guys that look like they're successful at this. They use a lot less air and a lot less amperage when they're cutting sheet metal. I still got a couple of spots of unused there, but I'm really desperate for 16 gauge stuff, because I think that's about what Chuck's sending me to cut his stencil on, and I would like to have all this worked out before I get to the stencil, because I obviously have trouble cutting letters. It just blasts the heck out of it. And this was 15 amps, so I couldn't stand much more amperage. I'm starting to think maybe I should have put a water table underneath this thing. Now that's a lot thicker material there. That's 10 gauge, I think, or maybe 1/8 inch, and I can cut Chuck's logo out of that real good. It's just the thin stuff that's stencil size, that's really hard to do, if you cut real close together on your cuts. To make things easier, I went into here and I removed every other slat going across that way. And when this thing gets time to be totally redone, I'll probably make it 5 by 5 blank spaces. I didn't pull the slats going lengthways because they're on the underside of everything. I'd have to pull the whole darn thing out to do that. So I'm going to try it like that for a while. We'll see how that works out. At least that's less metal for things to weld to. And I think maybe my spring here is too strong, but this bracket right here, this bearing brace, is in a good spot to take it loose and drop the whole thing out of there and cut off some more of that spring and then put it back together. I also cut out a little part of that side there. I guess you can see that. I cut out a little bit of this side here so it'd be easier to get to that ceramic part of the tip there for removal. So trying hard to improve the thing in a lot of ways that will make it easier to use and easier for me to learn how to use it. Look at that. What we got there is two 4x8 sheets of 16 gauge sheet metal. Yeah, the boss lady let me out long enough to go over to Steel Supply and buy a couple of sheets. Come to about $114, tax, title, and license. So considerably cheaper than buying it online. There wasn't any human contact. Nobody got closer to me than the tailgate of my truck. And I went over there, and I'd already done all the financial stuff online. Went over there and they threw this stuff in the back of my truck, and away I went. Everybody's happy and safe. I got to cut a piece out of that that's 31 by 43 inches, and then I can bend it up on the edges and make me a water bath. Then we'll see if things don't work a lot better. Alright, so I got my Harbor Freight sheet metal cutter, and I think it does a pretty good job. It's not that hard to steer it straight. Just the exact angle you got to hold it at to make it cut right on out in a hurry. Sometimes I'm on it, sometimes I'm not. I didn't show the cutting off that piece of metal because I went off and came back and I'd left the camera going till it ran down. So anyway, it's cut down to the basic size. I've got to try to make a sheet metal brake big enough to bend it. It's way too big for my little 30-inch Harbor Freight bender. That's the tiniest one they make. Alright, so I'm going to work on it and let y'all sleep. Well, I've made a very poor sheet metal brake, but at least in this way I can make it bend, and I think I can take a hammer and square off the corners. But I just keep moving my handle from one hinge to the other and bending upwards on it, and that seems to be making it work. I tried putting that long piece of metal over there, that piece right there between my lever and the sheet metal, but that didn't work out too good as it moved the sheet metal down that way, pushed the whole thing instead of bending it. So I'll just go on with the handles. I wish I had more hinges. I was going to have 4, but I messed one up, so I've only got 3 there. I may stop and make another couple of them after a while. I don't know. Depends on how well the bending goes. What I can do is I can unscrew them from where they're at and move them down, screw them down again. And when I get to the long side, that's probably what I'll have to do. Either that or make a couple more. There's another problem I've got out here besides being old and easily pooped. I've got the where is it problem. I had 2 gloves just minutes ago. So where is it? I laid one of them down and now I can't find it. That's driving me nuts. Now this edge isn't pretty yet, wavy and not totally straight up and down, but that's 15 minutes worth of work because of one little simple thing. I put clamps on the back end of it and clamped it down on the back, and suddenly I've got enough grip that it doesn't keep moving off that 2x4, and my redneck sheet metal brake worked as imagined. Like some woodmanger said, you can never have too many clamps. Well, there's nothing impressive about the bending or the welding, but corners are welded up, and at this point I need to degrease it and wait for the 10th or 11th when my drain stuff comes in, But between now and then, maybe I can degrease it and clean it up and paint it. I think that I can cut a hole in the bottom and seal that up even after it's painted, you know. So I think I'll take a break, and then we'll take this thing and soap it up and clean the grease and dirt off as best we can and paint it. Well, I've applied I've washed it out with hydrogen monoxide and laundry soap, and now I've put some silicone seal in the corners just in case my wonderful dirt dauber welds leak a little bit, which I just about bet they will. And I'm letting the silicone seal in the corners dry before I paint it, but I put some paint on everything else. So I'm using up all the oddball different types of paint I've got laying around in here, and I know it's going to be in a spot with flame weld and all that, but still that'll slow the rusting a little bit. I intend to keep it dry all the time too, most of the time anyway. Painting's done. Now I've got to get this grid out of here so I can put the pan in. And among all the other things, I'm not a rigger, so we'll see. We'll see how this works out. It might come out of there without tearing everything to pieces. Well, that's not too bad. It wasn't too bad. Dang it. Alright, so away we go. Back to the old drawing board. Well, I don't think there was any terribly bad things happened, but it did knock the X-axis belt loose down there. And I'm pretty sure I can get that put back together, as long as it didn't cut it in the middle, because I don't have any more of that stuff, not that long. Oh well, at least it wasn't a big radial drill. I guess you guys will be surprised to find that it fits, and I'm not going to put the little support grid back in there right now, because I still got to drain, drill the drain hole in one end down there, and I'm sure the grid would get in the way of me working. And the drain hole stuff won't be all here until, I don't know, Friday, Saturday, I guess Friday maybe, which will be too late because the video will already be posted by then. But the next thing you'll see is this thing full of water, and me trying to cut some stencils for Chuck. So we'll see if it works out. That'll be next Thursday, of course, so stay tuned to this same station, same time, every Thursday for more exciting redneck mess-ups. Oh, I forgot to say, I scored a 24 pack of toilet paper. We're really in high cotton now. Bubba was in New York there, and he was walking down this dock, out in the water. There, it got down to the end, there's this beautiful woman standing there just crying her eyes out, and he said, well, what's the matter here, man? What's going on? She says, I don't have nothing left to live for. She says, I'm going to jump off here and drown myself. And Bubba said, oh, no, don't do that. He says, whatever y'all do, don't do that. He says, you're a beautiful woman. He says, you got all kind of things to live for. He says, look, he says, I'm going to Europe on this boat. He says, I'll sneak you on there and take care of you. And he says, we'll have a wonderful life together. He says, I'll take care of you. I'll make you happy. So she said, well, all right. So he smuggled her on the boat, and every day he'd bring her something to eat. Every night he'd sneak into her hiding place. They'd make mad, passionate love. So this went on for about a week. And then one day the captain's, doing an inspection of things. And he comes walking in there and he finds that woman hiding out there. And he says, lady, just what are you doing in here? She says, well, she says, I was going to jump off the pier and drown myself, she says, and Bubba found me. And he's taking me to Europe on this boat, and we're going to have a wonderful, happy life together, and he'll take care of me. And Captain says, ma'am, he says, I sure hate to have to tell you this, but this is the Staten Island Ferry. Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.